I would think in profanity. And a couple of years ago, I remember having a fight with my sister, and I flat out swore at her with all different kinds of colorful expletives. And then I sat down in myself and I was like, why do you think that's even okay? Even before you came to Christ. It's because I got to a point where I was listening to some crazy music. I ended up working out to some crazy music. There was a season when I was dancing quite licentiously to crazy music to pass time. I essentially used sin to cope. You know what God, like during that season, what he was comparing my situation to, if you've seen the movie Ghost, Patrick Swayze is like the dead guy, right? And he is unable to move anything, touch anything, everything just goes through his fingers. But then he finds out that when he's really angry, when he's really angry, he can actually move things. Because one time his best friend that arranged for his murder was out there fraternizing with Demi Moore, his wife that was alive, and he got really angry and then like hit something and it actually fell off a table. It fell off a chair, and then he realized, oh my goodness, if I can just channel anger, I can move things. If I can just channel anger, I can move things. And so he then allowed himself to just get nice and angry all the time just so he could move stuff. And then he moved it. But then Whoopi Goldberg, who was the medium, yes, Ghost is a very evil medium-y satanic show, so I'm not saying follow after it, but since I've seen it before, God used it as an analogy to help me understand what I was doing over there. Whoopi Goldberg went and explained to Patrick Swayze that we understand that anger makes you move. I get it, she was a medium so she could see him. She was like, we understand that anger makes you move things. You can touch things, but you can't tap into a malevolent force in order to move things. Try and find deep love. Try and find something that is good. Remember better days and think about the smile of Demi Moore, and then with that passion, move. And that was then that beautiful scene in Ghost. Like, it was my favorite movie before I came to Christ. Ding, 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 ding. No, that's not Ghost. That is Pretty Woman. Anyway, whatever. Like, oh my love, like that scene where Patrick Swayze out to be moving a coin up the door, and then like he takes it from a spot and then moves it up the door and it's invisible. He moves it up the door and it lands at the height of Demi Moore, and then she realizes that, oh my goodness, he's here with me. Yeah, that was him successfully through Whoopi Goldberg. Look at this, me moving around has Archer cut my ring apart. Oh my goodness, oh woe is me. Anyway, it's fine. I'm moving a little too much. It's only now got 3 leaves, so I guess it's making like a clover. It's still working. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Ding, 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 ding. No, that's not Ghost. That's Pretty Woman. Is it? Whatever. Moving on. Mara, she succeeds Whoopi Goldberg to train Patrick Swayze to move things with love and not anger, and that then can account for that scene where the coin is going up the door. God used that whole phenomenon in the movie Ghost, where Patrick Swayze was moving things with anger, to help me understand what I was doing. And so trying to cope with my pain, with my sorrow, with my want, with my lack, and with abandonment, and being treated harshly, using secular entertainment. Like, I used to work out to a whole bunch of crazy licentious music, and I even danced very sensually to that music. And that exercise used to give me so much euphoria. It used to bring so many endorphins into my body that by the time I was done working out, I felt no sorrow at all. Though in the beginning of the day when I would first start working out, I was in so much pain. And by the time I was done, there was so much euphoria. I was basically recovered and no longer suicidal. And I was out here thriving and surviving on horrible sensuality, horrible music, and just getting a runner's high. But instead of a runner's high, it was like a dancer's high, because I was dancing to work out. I would get this like dancer's high at the end, and it was curing me from macabre and depression. And then God showed me that you're like Patrick Swayze in Ghost, using anger to move things as a ghost. Use love. And so slowly but surely he weaned me off secular entertainment. Ultimately, I would leave Netflix altogether, but by the time I left Netflix, I had already left working out to secular music. I tried to what's the word that I'm looking for, to make it better, to milden it by saying, okay, I'll still dance to secular music, but no swearing. But in spite of there being no swearing, I mean, like, the lyrics are just nasty. Do you understand? What they're suggesting in the music is what's stumbling. It's secular, it's profane. It's just punting horrific lifestyles. Do you understand? And during the time when I was listening to a whole bunch of secular music, that music was also ringing in my mind and was influencing me and was influencing the sentiment of people. And I eventually got divorced from that. And now all that rings in my mind is gospel music, and God tells me what's going on using influences that I get from, you know how the whole scene with Lisa and being Mary Jane committing suicide after being ignored? It is stuck to me still to this day. People, like, every time the Lord shows me what people are trying to do to my life, and I wish I'd never seen it, because then it wouldn't be getting used so much. Now that I only watch Christian entertainment, scene. So for the Lord to explain to me what in the world is going on, I see scenes in the storytelling description of what happened in the book of Ezra in the rebuilding of the temple, or the book of Nehemiah in the rebuilding of the wall. One of those things, like, you know, all of those naysaying voices that were trying to block the rebuilding of the temple or the rebuilding of the world. That's what God uses rather to explain to me what's going on with what people are doing to me with my YouTube channel. Whereas before, when I was watching secular entertainment, the imagery that would come into my mind is that from that entertainment or from those songs. Like when I was, for instance, listening to secular music and dancing to it, the music that I thought that was better because it was not full of profanity. Pina ele Mario, baby, I just don't get it. Do you enjoy being hurt? I know you smell the perfume, the makeup on his shirt. It was used time and time again to explain to me how men are out there looking at me, pertaining my relationship with Jesus. Karabo, I just don't get it. You enjoy being hurt by Jesus. He has abandoned you. I can see that he has left you out on a limb, and he's not doing anything for you, but I can take care of you. I understood what I was being told when I heard that song, and I just hated hearing it. I hated hearing it because I knew there was people mocking my reliance on the Lord, and it was also people utilizing my patience in God as a mockery. And when I stopped listening to secular music, I stopped hearing that song. Now I hear it flat out verbatim the way that they're saying, abandon Christianity and then you'll be fine. No longer am I hearing, baby, I just don't get it. Do you enjoy being hurt? I know you smell the perfume. I don't hear that anymore. I just hear people thoroughly saying, abandon Christ. So now I know what they're trying to do, but without being patronized by the music that is demonic, that is trying to influence me unto it, with something that I would imagine is okay and safe, which is, it's not. Like, yeah. So secular music did that, Mara. When did I start listening to secular? No, I didn't start listening to secular music during that time. I started watching secular entertainment. Secular music would only come when I started working out. I knew that I had to keep my body busy physically because I did not want to be sedentary, but I'm back to being sedentary now. I haven't worked out in a minute, but only because I'm so very badly persecuted. And so I started exercising for just 20 minutes a day, and what I exercised to was secular music, like Afro beats and whatnot. I started working out to secular music, and it just went from bad to worse, dog. Not only did I work out to secular music, but I would then also watch dance videos of secular artists, and you know how licentious they can get. I copied their moves. I danced in a sneaky, like, yeah, whatever. Listen, there was content that I even uploaded online showing all this stuff. But I eventually brought it down. I repented. Do you understand? But there are some people who've already seen it, and they remember me in that season. And they remember what I was doing and how I was dancing. And listen, to a point of complimenting me that, ooh, you can dance. But listen, I'm dancing like the devil. Type establishment thing. Well, I'm being purified now, and I'm listening to gospel music, and I do intend to go back to exercise, and indeed I can only work out by dancing, but there are clean ways to do everything. And going forward, when I am finally recovered to exercise, when I guess I feel better, because right now I'm just going through too much, I'll clean it up. But I had this desire in me to clean it up, and during the time when I was dancing like a little snake up a pole, I was so proud of my work because I was just doing so well. My skills essentially were improving. My dance skills were improving, and I was just killing it. Out here bordering on looking like a professional dancer. And every time I would watch my videos and think that I look so good working out, because I also build muscle. I was like, I looked so good. My body was so well toned. The Holy Spirit would say to me, you're proud of it. You're proud of it. And I would ignore him, dog, but he was, again, rebuking me, disciplining me, telling me, just because you can dance excellently in a licentious fashion doesn't mean you should do it, because it's a sin. So people who hone crafts that are however of the devil, and they're really good at them, just because you're a really good magician doesn't mean that you should do it. Just because you're a really good pole dancer doesn't mean you should do it. Just because you're a really skilled sensual dancer doesn't mean you should do it. Just because you are a really good rapper of licentious lyrics, like you remember Busta Rhymes back in the day, yo, the guy was so gifted, but of course he was rapping licentious trash, but like the dude was just like this beatbox that was going, and he was so fast. Like, listen, Busta Rhymes will actually give you a run for your money. Yes, like if Busta Rhymes was excellent, but you could easily use that same skill for the glory of God. It is a gift, it's a talent indeed, we agree. but it was being used for Satan, and so the lyrics were really licentious and really influential because he was as good at what he did as he was able to draw a whole bunch of people in. He was just electric. Upasta rhymes, mara he was rhyming trash. Do you understand? Type establishment thing. If at all he were to give his life to Christ, he would be just as electric, but in the Lord. So just because you can rap well doesn't mean you should for Satan. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, and I was dancing well. I was improving my skills, but like it didn't mean I should have just carried on like that. And ultimately, I was made to stop by excruciating persecution. And by the time that I stopped working out, I was still out here in my ear listening to this music. And I don't know why it did not dawn on me that I could exercise with gospel music or a gospel instrumental, and so do my squats and my lunges and my dance moves that are not licentious, that are also not going to be inspired unto licentiousness, precisely because of the lyrics coming into my head. Why it didn't just dawn on me that I could actually get that done? It did dawn on me, but I don't know why it didn't dawn on me. It did, but it didn't. Like, listen, I don't know how to explain it. But I guess God caused me for a season to just divorce from exercise altogether, that I might be regrouped, where by the time I work out again, I will have retrained my mind and I will have wired the reception of music into my understanding and unto a holy stance as opposed to the previously wicked one. But during this season, when it is that the wickedness of horrible consumption came in, was when I was in that all that suffering, go Oakdean. And in that suffering that I endured, go Oakdean, made me justify what I was doing, what I was consuming into my bones, into my body, because I was going through hell on earth and it was helping me cope, it was helping me stay alive, and it was helping me not kill myself. So I justified it, but it was utterly wrong, because now I have been refined, I've been purified, and I'm still going through hell on earth. But I'm no longer listening to trash, and I'm also no longer watching trash. If anything, I'm studying a lot more, and I'm a lot more revelatory pertaining what God is showing me, because there is more clarity in my understanding and in my speech and in my talk and in my reception of that which comes into my body, that I might be more accurate. And so speaking about what it is that God is showing me, and also edifying. So it's helped. It's really helped. I'm so grateful that I left Netflix, because I found stuff to replace Netflix and I could never go back now. Because who does not want to learn about the life of Job? If I had not walked away from Netflix, I would not have such a great intrigue and therefore encouragement from the stories of saints that have come and gone. Yeah, last night I watched the movie of George Miller, and hence why I was able to edify you with some of his story. In other of my videos, I spoke about Jean-Marie Guyon. I spoke about Watchman Nee. I spoke about Sundar Singh. I understand Bible prophecy better now because I watch Bible movies and I listen to Bible content online. So I am learning a lot more, and I'm also a lot more edified, and so a lot more healed. Herein lies Patrick Swayze moving a coin up a door with love and not so much wrath anymore. I found a better way to cope, and it's so much more fruitful for me. But in the before then, in this interim phase, I was just so, I can't say worldly because I was always praying, I was always just sutured to God, and I was enduring suffering, but in certain spots I was using heinous means. Yeah, because they were heinous to cope. And God was just not happy with that, and he showed me by the Spirit. Throughout those years, he was showing me. Mara, for me it was like, but I'm coping. I'm dealing. I'm not killing myself, am I? Look at me out here. Accuse God of tempting me, but God tempts no one. I let my desires run with me. Because I guess deep down inside, who will rescue me from this body of death? I remember my life, and I remember secular entertainment and how entertaining it could be at some spots. And I let myself run with that. My desires took over, and they brought about sin. And sin would have brought about death, but God disciplines those whom he loves, so it never got to death. He recovered me. Do you understand? And now I've never been gladder. I've never been happy. I've never been more edified. I've never been holier. I've never been holier. And I'm grateful for that, because in this righteousness, I am able to bring down lofty structures that God raised me up to bring down indeed. The Lord raised me up for a purpose of this nature for such a time as this. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm doing the work that I'm doing. I'm now able to stand with boldness, and with firmness, because I have comprehension of the fact that I am that much more closely sutured to God. It is written in God's word that draw me close to you, never let me go. That song that I sung, I draw near to God and he will draw near to you. And I've drawn nearer to God as a result of walking away from entertainment that distanced me from him. And he's drawn closer to me as a result. Mara, with God drawing nearer and nearer to you, you are going to draw more flies to you. You're going to draw, like if you're like a sweet honey, you're going to draw more flies, okay? You are going to draw more attention from crazy structures that will try to uproot what you're doing. And demons will be all up in your grill like white on rice. and people will try to uproot you. But who push a cart up a hill that don't make no kind of sense to be trying to push up a hill, they're gonna try and finish that which they want to try and finish. And people are gonna be bizarre, y'all. Like, you're gonna say one thing, and they're gonna just completely disregard that which you said, as if though you have not made yourself clear. Because there is nothing else that Satan can do but to try and thwart the work of the gospel. So therefore, he will keep on sending hashering servants of his that will try to continue to push a cart up a hill that will never ever get to the top of that hill, because the devil can do no other thing but to try to thwart the gospel. So if a person is still on a mission going somewhere that's going to out here uproot and manhandle portions of his kingdom, so I've become lethal to crazy boys. Car accident, the suicide and whatnot. When, listen, I was trying to be a lover, not a fighter. But they done made me a fighter. I guess that's the nature of spiritual war. Banken's a woman of conquest. Because they won't leave me alone. Yeah, insist, yeah, food and I'm like, why would the devil leave me alone? Why would he? Why would he? Listen, I get why he won't leave me alone. I wouldn't leave me alone if I was him. Because certain facets of his kingdom, a whole entire chunk of his little pie. I'm gonna just go and grab it and remove it. I mean, listen, he's not gonna go down without a fight. He's not gonna go down without a fight. So obviously, all the way up until the end, if anything, God keeps saying to me, all the way to Hades, all the way to Hades. And this thing, it wears me out. I'm like, God, but like, I don't want to fight them. Encountering head and shoulders. Get rid of them. I don't want them because they're annoying me. Not only are they annoying me, but they're really breaking my heart, and they're eviscerating me. I feel like they're tearing me apart. They're disemboweling me. And death rituals. I'm tired, God. Like, last night I literally prayed to God to end my life. I was like, because of just the number of death rituals they keep on slapping me with. Or if you don't want to die, if you're gonna be nice and strong because you've been strong all this time. Okay, baby, but I love you. Let me take care of you. Like, just to stay on a loop. It's like a hamster on a wheel. And I'm like, and I got all emo. And I was like, just take me, please take me. Heart attack. I was listening to the testimony of George Miller. And I was like, George Miller, oh, God, I'm also like, George Miller, I'm your child. I'm praying that you should give me a heart attack and I just come home. Please just take me. Please just take me. Yeah, and then I woke up and I'm still breathing. It is... basically, I don't know how many times I've gotten to the place where Elijah got. God, take my life because Jezebel keeps on killing your servants. Take my life. I've gotten there so many times, and oftentimes I get there because people are trying to kill me. I get there because people keep on investing in new death rituals on me. I get there and I'm like, the last video, listen, my content, I feel like it's so compelling. I cover so many topics in it, and like I said, I feel like it's really compelling. And after, like, at the end of each discussion, how in the world is anybody not reached though? How are you not saved by the end of it? How are you still so stubborn? Like, the other day I was listening to the story, watching the movie, and also watching the documentary of John Wesley and Charles Wesley, and both John and Charles Wesley went to America initially to try and, I guess, evangelize. They ultimately started the Methodist movement, the two of them, and they succeeded in England. But they, before then, had gone to the Americas to try and reach them for Christ. And the mission was just abysmally, it failed for both John and Charles. If anything, they got sick physically in the body from simply being in that territory. Look at how evangelized America is today, but it was not God's purpose for them to reach America for Christ. They were supposed to start the Methodist movement there where they were at to try and bring the gospel to the common man, the peasant, the plowboy. Do you understand what I'm saying? So their mission failed, and one scene in the depiction of, in particular, George Wesley's mission work in America, or attempt, was near the native Indians there. And they showed this scene of them like it was a drawing of these like native Indians just sitting there looking at George Wesley on some, like, in the painting itself, they were just so, they looked at him like, on some, what is this guy saying? They just would not barge. And still to this day, the Native Americans in the US are not barging. It's everybody else that is there. The slaves that were taken there, the white Americans, the Hispanics, everybody else responded to the gospel except the Native Americans because they decided to hold on to their pagan deities. So ultimately the Lord would reach the US for Christ just as a total, but it would not be the people that John Wesley was gunning for. The Native Americans. They still to this day, the Native Americans are stubborn to the gospel. Still to this day, they're stubborn towards the gospel. But look at how well evangelized America is. And as a result of them embracing the cross, the Native Americans never got to maintain their hold over the country. God gave the power to evangelicals. And so the natives there have been made a minority group when, however, like I said, they're native to the country. Being stubborn to the gospel will actually impoverish you for life. It'll leave you out on a limb. It'll keep you third world. Do you understand? Anyway, whatever. So John Wesley and Charles Wesley, both of them struggled with Native Americans, but they succeeded in England. They succeeded back home. They did well. And at some point, Wesley was working with Whitfield. And we know what the men did over there, right? Every time I speak to this audience that I'm talking to right now, the Lord gives me an image of John Wesley before the Native Americans. Just out there trying to explain to them, listen guys, Christ is the only way, the truth, the life, get it? And they're just standing there, like looking at him, and they're just like this painting is so epic. Like if you just look at that painting where John Wesley's out there trying to give the gospel to Native Americans, they all just look so blasé, so sleepy, so like, what are you saying? No, we don't want to take you. And they're like, they're so unreceptive. They are so closed off, so blocked. It's like I'm John Wesley speaking to the Native Americans, but I have an audience somewhere. I know it, and they will hearken. So because I'm dealing with that kind of audience, it is very disillusioning, and it makes me want to die. It makes me ask God, just give me an aneurysm, anything. Even cancer, it can eat at me slowly, insofar as I know that there's an end to this, because right now it's just a perpetual striving that is never ending. Give me anything. I just want to know that I'm going to go home. I want to say like Watchman Nee that I'm on my way home, I'm going home. I can never say I'm going home. I can never know that I'm almost there. F.F. Bosworth, when he was dying, he was actually talking to people. He was talking to people. Some hello, those that had passed on, because heaven opened yawning wide for him just before he died, when he was on his deathbed, encircled by his grandchildren and children, and he was talking to heaven. He was talking to heaven, and I was like, give me that F.F. Bosworth moment. Let me see heaven open, yawn wide for me, please. I'm still so alive. And just last night I had a vision of half of the body of a woman withering, half of a body withering, like half it being chopped off, and the upper half of her withering. God showing me that they want to cut your life in half. And I'm like, God, I'm 41, so are you telling me I'm going to live to my 80s? These people are trying to cut my life in short. What in the world? So you're telling me I've got still all that much time, but right now I feel like I'm dying. Right now I feel like my life is over. Mara, just last night before Kirwala, I begged the Lord to take my life, and then this morning I wake up to see people trying to cut off half of my body. In other words, half of my life. They're trying to chop off a whole chunk of my life. There is still time for me to cover. The other day I was watching this one Christian movie called, what was it called? It was In the Afterlife, or After the After, or say Escape from Hell. Yeah, thank you. The name of the movie is called Escape from Hell. Okay, and it's of this guy that out here has a near-death experience where he thoroughly took himself there, a doctor, to hell, and then he comes back and repents because a near-death experience has sent him to hell, and then he comes back and repents, right? That's the movie. It's quite biblical. I would implore you to go and watch it on YouTube. The name of the movie is Escape from Hell. Mara, this doctor guy is friends and has a love interest in this one psychiatrist, psychologist, doctor lady that interrogates or studies near-death experiences, and in order to figure out what happens when people die. And one of her patients was this one woman that was hit by a bus, a truck of sorts, and she was a Christian, a God-fearing woman, and she went to heaven, and in heaven they told her, go back, it's not yet your time, and then she went back into her body. And when she was giving this near-death experience, the doctor could not understand just why she was so miserable. She was so miserable, and she was like, I was told to come back, and she just had this frown on her face because she just was in the glory of the Lord, and she was in the presence, and listen, it was it. But I guess she was resuscitated and brought back into her body, and was told by an angel, go back, it's not yet your time. The Lord uses that image in that movie that I watched, Escape from Hell, of this one blind lady that gets hit by a truck or some kind of a van, like a bucky. She gets hit by it and seasonally dies, and then comes back into her body. And she's so sad when she comes back. And God shows me that I'm like that woman, that I keep begging to go to heaven, and people are like perpetually just trying to cut my life in short. But God keeps bringing me back, telling me it's not yet your time, and I'm very sad about that. But the only reason I am forlorn is because I don't have a life. If I had something to live and something to nibble at and someone to touch and people to hold, reach out and touch somebody's hand, make this world a better place for you. If I had a life, I wouldn't be so macabre, so ghoulish, and so deathly in the way that I look at life. I would not be so dystopian. Do you understand? But people are dystopian encircling me. They're Orwellian. And so because of how dystopian they all are, I feel like I'm Wazupila Lana. But I mean, of course, John Wesley is gonna actually come back from the Americas sick and feeling a sense of defeat, because I was so excited when I initially went to go and preach to the Americas, hoping to succeed in my mission work over there, and then I came back just as flattened and sick. I nearly died over there. All the day long. Yeah, I feel that way. But ultimately, Wesley went on to have a very thriving, fulfilling ministry, and unfortunately married a lady that plucked out his hair. But nonetheless, the guy succeeded to fulfill his mandate in Christ and won just a handsome harvest for all of the work that he invested in the beginning over there. Do you understand? So sometimes you go to a mission field that you feel you're called to. It also happened with Amy Carmichael. Initially, Amy went to, was it India? And it just didn't work out over there, and she came back all flattened. But then she went back again. But where was Amy Carmichael's final mission field at? Was it India? No, I think she first went to India and came back disillusioned and disheartened, and then went to another country, and that's where she had, I think it was India. No, she was in India definitely, because in India they had all these like weird child sacrifices that they were doing. Was it India or Africa? No, I think first Amy Carmichael went to India, and then she went to Africa. And in that, listen, I stand corrected, but finally where she ended up going was where she stayed for the rest of her life and died there. She never went back home. And she ran somewhat almost like an orphanage, just like George Miller, and took in all these children and rescued them from crazy little child sacrificing weird spaces. I think it was India where she ultimately ended up at. And these here children regarded her as their mama type setup thing. The first mission field might not work out, but then the last one ultimately does. And just like Amy and just like John Wesley, I started out in a space where the hearts are hardened like the Native Indians, the Native Americans, and where I'm gonna finally go, there's gonna be a harvest for me. Mara, here where it is that I'm disillusioned just like John Wesley, I feel like I'm death warmed up, like I'm dying, like I'm not gonna make it, but I'm gonna make it. God always has a way of proliferating his truth. I don't know if I corrected because I keep on studying. I'm a work in progress, so every so often I just give details and like, listen, it's not fact. That's why I get it with Amy Carmichael. I stand corrected if it's India or Africa, but I think I'm pretty certain now that it's India where she ended up, and I think she might have started in Africa, but it didn't work out, or did she end up in Africa and it didn't work out? One of the two. I will ultimately correct it, because I'll go and check up on it. Well, I finally corrected veracities pertaining the story of Martin Luther, and I used to think that he was from England all the time. Why did I think that the Protestant Reformation started in England? It's only because so many of the reformers were English. But no, Martin Luther was German. There's so many excellent people came from Germany, like the Holocaust. It's just bizarre to me. Yeah, but in spite of it being bizarre, Martin Luther was kind of low-key anti-Semitic though, but I don't believe that Martin Luther would have ever agreed or stood in tandem with the Holocaust. But anyway, Martin Luther was German, and I said the other time that he died a martyr's death. No, he died at the age of 62 or 3 from like a cardio infarction. I believe I already corrected that in my last video, but my facts were all discombobulated and mixed up. But even Martin Luther, like his how many theses did he have again? I stand correct. How many theses? Like why are these facts just eluding me? That he out and knocked on the door of that church he joined, they would have been largely ignored if it was not for the invention of the printing press. God knew that he was going to reform a people, because somebody would actually invent a printing press and experiment with the theses of Martin Luther, and then basically him be the first ever bestseller of the time, thanks to this new innovation. And look at the word out there spread. Only rock up and say, if you can use anyone, Lord, you can use me. And God will do the rest. God will do the rest. God knows where your mission field is, but he also knows where your preparation field is. And God knows how he is going to cause you to be a bestseller without even thinking that you're going to be a bestseller. Because your theses are initially ignored until somebody decides to experiment with printing them. handing them out to a people. You only need to rock up and be a vessel of honor, and God will do the rest. God will do the absolutely rest. And so therefore, to walk in a sinful fashion just to try and cope and survive is not the solution, is not the way out. So because of me watching all this licentious entertainment, of course, then I continued to watch licentious entertainment. Ultimately, I moved out of my mom's house like a bat out of hell, because I was just so horribly persecuted in that space that I figured that, listen, I've got all this money from my pension. I'm just gonna go and put down rental for a year in advance somewhere. And this year rental that I'm gonna put down for a year in advance, in the season when I'm there, I'm gonna look for a job. And then I'm gonna be okay. Mamelang, okay? The initial place where I tried to give 1 year's rent in advance, they rejected me even though I was gonna give them a whole full year's rental, only to find out that that particular apartment building did not have Wi-Fi. They rejected me and then later called me to try and take up the offer, but by then I was already, I had already secured for myself an apartment somewhere else. And then I came to learn that the clubhouse of that complex, it was the William and Fourways, the clubhouse of that complex had Wi-Fi. And as a result of that clubhouse having Wi-Fi, I was able to reconvene posting online, reconvene writing, and also uploading videos. I would use the Wi-Fi of the clubhouse. In the beginning, I used to buy data and it was so expensive. Remember I told you that before everybody had Wi-Fi, people were out here with dongles where you had to buy like 250 gigs and like it was just costing you a whole chunky ton of cash. In the beginning, I used to buy data, but then I found out that there's free Wi-Fi at the clubhouse. But herein lies unfortunate karabo. I did not have a phone that was smart, but I did have a computer. I would literally unplug my Mac computer and take it inside a bag of mine to the clubhouse in order to upload my content that I might post every day, that I might be maintained as relevant. Though nobody was watching, I was already banned at that stage. Listen, South Africa has been hurting me all this time. My YouTube channel, at the time I did not know how to edit, so I was sometimes, like, I would not put my videos together. Using video editing software, I would just like post individual unique videos, one after the other. Who put it together. I learned a lot of stuff in this season, right? Let's just cut a long story short, because we're not really actually talking about that journey, though I've already labored on it so very much. Okay, yeah, but I learned a lot of things, but herein lies the Lord again putting my lines in pleasant places, where it is that I was now living in a complex that had free Wi-Fi at the clubhouse. It made me regret buying a Mac computer. I wished I had bought rather a laptop, like, because I bought it at the Apple store cash. A laptop would not have worked out now. I realized that, because I needed a big enough screen to be able to watch movies off it. And you can never, I mean, like, if you're gonna get a laptop that's got the size of a Mac screen, okay, you can watch movies on there, but it's just gonna be such a small little screen, right? So basically what it is that I'm enjoying right now, I would not have enjoyed it with a laptop. Plus this Mac computers, I don't know how they're built on the inside. They reach farther, a lot farther in terms of Wi-Fi. Like in here, I can never, like, well, the Wi-Fi, it's hard to catch it on my cell phone devices, but my computer always has Wi-Fi. I'm able to watch videos smooth. Every so often it buffers, like I complained earlier that it buffers. Every so often it buffers, but largely Wi-Fi is always connecting on my PC. I don't think that would have been the case with a laptop, because I have a tablet over here and this stuff just don't catch Wi-Fi. God knew basically what my future looked like. But there was a time when I was really frustrated with my Mac because of load shedding. But then again, pleasant places. God made my mother get solar panels, so now we don't get load shedding. Therefore, I'm grateful that I have a PC as opposed to a laptop, because a laptop would have given me the issues I've highlighted above. And my sister has an Apple laptop, hasn't been able to replace it, and the issues that it's giving her are just astronomical. So I feel like a PC also has longer staying power. God knew that I would basically be unemployed for years from the date that I bought this PC, and that I would need a reliable computer that's going to basically stay strong and hold me down the whole entire time. I don't think I would have gotten all that all that time, all that mileage. I don't think I would have gotten all that mileage out of a PC, out of a laptop. Even if it was an Apple laptop, I don't think I would have gotten all that mileage, because like I said, I've seen my older sister's Apple notebook, MacBook Pro, yes, like it. I know it ain't giving her any peace. It don't give her any peace. And she's had hers, I believe, for a shorter period of time than even me. Like, what I'm trying to explain is that her MacBook Pro is younger than my Mac. And yet my Mac is more reliable than her computer. So God knew when I walked into that Apple store or 4 ways more that my choice to get a PC as opposed to a laptop was the right one. Though there was a season when I was frustrated and being like in myself, why didn't I get a laptop? Because then I would not be endured through the tyranny of load shedding. But load shedding was only a season I endured for a small time before my mom got solar panels. And now I am happy with my computer and it's helping me along. And I have everything that I could ever need to live a life in godliness. But during the initial stages, I literally carried my computer from my apartment where I was staying, because I was not living right near the clubhouse, to the clubhouse every single day just to, just to upload content. And it basically thinned me out. Remember the dreams that I used to get of me being chubby? Yeah, I was thinned out. But when I arrived, go for ways during the time when I still had money. This is the point that I'm getting at in trying to talk about doofus. Alright, when I arrived, or when I was first new, to help you understand what I'm dealing with, because this is what I'm actually trying to get to. Took a minute. This is what I'm actually trying to get to help women understand ukuthi kuhlanywa kanjani, like a person that has like consecrated themselves this much to God. If at all they can be subjugated to the tyranny of these here experiments, how much worse off are you when you don't want Jesus? Okay? I'm now living go for ways after running away in the middle of the night, leaving nothing but a letter. And then I found, when I ran away, I booked into a hotel, a bed and breakfast. And from the bed and breakfast, I looked for an apartment to stay because I just could not stay. It was horrible. My mother was just horrible towards me. Okay? I left in the middle of the night and I ultimately found an apartment in Four Ways, called the William. And when I was living there, initially I had money. Ultimately it ran out. And that's when I started to endure food insecurity. And I would have to buy flour to make pita bread to eat instead of bread. It was rough, but I was never without food. And during that time, I sold so much of my furniture. Not furniture, but furniture too. Listen, I sold a wing back to eat. I also sold like divase, side lamps, carpets. There's just a couple of things that I sold, and not chunky pieces of furniture until pretty much the year ended. It was such a hard time, yo. The whole time I expected that I was gonna get a job. It didn't happen. Never in my life did I ever anticipate that I would ever have food insecurity ever in my life, because I was not born into that kind of hardship. And my family endured me through food insecurity when they've never known it. I got skinny, like whatever. Listen, my life sucked. But in the beginning, I had some money, and I get it. It was like a 2-bed apartment. I bought a bed, and I furnished that second bedroom. I also I had come from my mom's house. I had come from secular entertainment. Though in my first apartment, God punched my television in, and I didn't get another one. I didn't need one. I had evidence that I can survive without a TV. But then I sat around in front of entertainment when I was at my mom's house, seeing as I was persecuted to sit down and do nothing. And so I watched a whole bunch of secular TV. So now that I had passed time watching secular TV, and I imagined God was okay with it because you left me in this position, so of course I'm gonna watch trash because you tempted me. Look at me blaspheming God. Okay. When then I moved to my new apartment, I just could not fathom not having a TV because I was allowing myself to watch crazy entertainment. And from my mom's house, I left there with the DVD my sister that she had left. My older sister. Yeah, okay, so it's 4:35 in the morning. It's getting on me now. Anyway, my sister was just a massive fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, and she had left it, like a whole bunch of her stuff was just moving from pillar to post with my mom. So at my mom's house, the DVDs are Pirates of the Caribbean. So I left with those DVDs. For whatever reason, listen, I cannot tell you why I took them. I could have taken anything else, because there was Seinfeld, there was so much, but I chose to take Pirates of the Caribbean. I took Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, At World's End. It was like a whole package. At World's End, Curse of the Black Pearl, Dead Man's Chest, and At World's End. I took it, and I then bought, like when I was buying extra pieces of furniture to fill out that apartment, because I had enough money to get that done, and I also did not imagine I would not find a job again. Listen, what has gone on in my life has just been nice and bizarre. Anyway, So here it is that I thought I was gonna get a job. So if I had known that I would not be employed again, I probably would not have moved out of my mom's house. But if I had decided to live there anyway, I would just not have bought extra furniture. You know, when you think you're so smart, you're so clever, and of course you're employable, somebody's gonna hire you. And then like nobody does, then you know that God has dealt you a blow. You're Job now. God gave and then God took away, yet blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Anyway, I took those 3 Pirates of the Caribbean DVDs, but I did not have a TV, neither a DVD player. I had told myself that I am going to buy a TV and a DVD player. And this is what's going to keep me going. Right next to series, Being Mary Jane. The Being Mary Jane series was not on my laptop. No, the Being Mary Jane was on a USB on my mom's computer. But did I take it with? How many times did I watch Being Mary Jane? I think I watched it quite a few times, but I ended up deleting it to make space. I took the USB. And on the USB, I had Being Mary Jane. And I took Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, At a Dead Man's Chest, and At World's End. And I told myself that I would keep myself entertained with this, because I knew that for as long as I did not have a job, I could not risk getting DSTV in the apartment. So I needed to find something to pass time. And that's where I got myself used to just watching shows on a loop, repeat. They were already chilling on USBs, and that behavior would keep me pretty much running when I was thrown in a similar ugly little situation, go Naturina, years again down the line from that date, where I had no entertainment except just running on a loop. Not Pirates of the Caribbean, but Narcos and Gotham. I was given it by this one Nigerian guy, go Cosmo City, where I was living before I was moved to Naturina. I've been kicked like a soccer ball from pillar to post, okay? And it kept me going. But it was bad viewing. Listen, Gotham is okay. I think Gotham is okay. But Narcos, it's not, because it's licentious and it's full of profanity. But Gotham is okay. It just shows criminality, a crime state, but it is largely innocent. Anyway, I think Gotham is okay to watch. But the thingy is not. Certainly, Narcos. But I watched it. The one that I was frankly besotted with the most was Gotham anyway. And I was watching that on a loop, but I was also watching a whole bunch of ugly licentious dance videos in order to teach myself those moves, so it wasn't working. But that was Naturina. This is now way before Naturina. First ever place where I was living by myself. And here I had no one feeding me, no one helping me along, and where I had food insecurity. Here in the beginning, I watched just like on a loop a whole bunch of Pirates of the Listen night after night. At some point, I could not pay my electricity bill and it was dark. My electricity was never cut at the William, because what do you call this thing? It was load shedding. And y'all, it was so bad. Load shedding was so horrible. Load shedding was so terrible, because I was so broken. I was so devastated, and just how dark it was, and how quiet it was, and how I couldn't pass time with anything else. And in that time, I would pray. What in the world kept me going? What kept me going during 2-3 hours of load shedding? Because my computer was a plug-in, so it wasn't working, and I had nothing. Was I just lying there? I don't even know how I survived certain things. Just my mind just going and all that depression. Anyway, I made it. Listen, I'm here. I'm 41. I was 32 then. I'm 41. I made it. Listen, y'all, I made it. I made it, and I'm still gonna make it even further. During that season, when the power was on, I remember I told you guys that my car got broken into, and the robbery, or it wasn't a hijacking, because they weren't holding me up, but they were either trying to steal little things in my car, when I was busy buying things for my apartment to fill it up, decorative stuff right next to things like TVs, and they were in my car, and somebody tried to enter into my vehicle and they were interrupted. I would have lost ETV again. I would have lost my vases, my bed linen, my stuff that I had bought go at home, etc. go for waste. So God had my back. Television that I bought was a smart TV. I bought a smart TV, but it was whatever. It didn't matter. It was aimless. It was very beautiful though. I'll give it that much. It was very cute, beautiful TV, and it was big, but I never used it in the smart capacity of itself, because I never ever had internet. I never ever had Wi-Fi. If at that I should have known to get some kind of fiber to the home and paid that off in advance for the year. But at the time, I had this perception in my mind that Wi-Fi for a unique individual subscriber to the service is so expensive that it would just be too much for me. I don't know why I thought that, because my colleague at MTN that worked on the fiber to the home project was out just servicing entire townhouse complexes, whole neighborhoods with this thing. I imagine that in order to indeed scale, and so therefore in order for the price to be brought down, they would have to scale. And of course I did not scale, it was just me. So I figured that I would be spending like just bouts of money, like too much. Why in the world do they even still sell data for that much money? I don't get it. Like, it's not worth it. Anyway, for all the amount of money that I spent on data, I could have just gotten a 1-year package at, I don't know, whatever, AfriHost or whatever, some like service provider. But I guess I was not knowledgeable. I did not have understanding at the time, but we did have free Wi-Fi. Go, but Clubhouse type establishment thing. Anyway, whatever. But so therefore the smart capabilities of my television were never used. Is what I'm getting at. It was just the capabilities of my TV to Algier project DVDs and DS and just regular like television. But I did not have regular television. I remember looking for it. I remember I wanted SABC 1, 2, 3 at least and ETV. But you would have to be connected to a satellite to just get the basic, hey man, hey, life was rough. Yes, well, I didn't have TV. So I watched Pirates of the Caribbean just on a loop. Dead, Curse of the Black Pearl, Dead Man's Chest, and At World's End. Like, I just, one after other, night after night, it just kept me going. And there was a time when I could even like cite the script of Pirates of the Caribbean almost verbatim, but then I forgot now. It's left me because I was just watching that. And Being Mary Jane as well. I enjoyed Pirates of the Caribbean more than Being Mary Jane because it spoke closely more to my spiritual war than Being Mary Jane ever could. But I watched Being Mary Jane on my big TV over and over and over and over and over again. And I watched Pirates season 1 to 3 and again Pirates of the Caribbean because of the fact that it got tired for me to watch these things. This is what I'm getting at. I gotta keep what got doofus. These here men that think they can just creepishly worm their way into the lives of women, but they are shoddy, they're licentious, they are creeps, like the kind of person out you're looking into a peeping hole. I'm a daughter that are the worst, the scummiest on earth, and they want any woman that they want and they feel like magic is their tool. And there are women out here breaking their teeth to be married to men like these. And yet men like these don't even want them, that are breaking their teeth to be with them. But are the ones that are actively avoiding them. It's almost like it's a conquest or a fetish. I gotta get the one that don't want me. I gotta get the one, wait, okay, women, keep on pursuing these things. But I explained and meandered about my whole entire low-key, almost ampor life story to get to this point. Because thanks to persecution, I wound up watching some pretty heinous, licentious content. I didn't finish it though. I'll give it that much. There were some things that were too extreme for me to consume to the end. Thanks to persecution, I ended up watching crazy content. And because now I was busy watching secular entertainment, and I was basically vomiting out of my ears, my nose, and my eyes Pirates of the Caribbean and Being Mary Jane. I then went to a DVD store. Yeah, because at that time there were still DVD stores, and there was one in Four Ways, and I started to hire movies over there. I went to a DVD store and I started to hire movies, and initially my choices made sense. I watched World War Z from there. I enjoyed it. I watched the series, yeah, Scandal, Olivia Pope. I enjoyed it because I was allowing myself to watch trash. Like, if you have watched Being Mary Jane, then you've also watched Scandal, if you know what I mean, right? Kerry Washington, Olivia Pope. I watched that, but I did not watch it all the way to the end because they did not have it all the way to the end. It was still pretty much being recorded at the time. And so because of just all my intrigue of watching all of these shows that made for much better entertainment in comparison to just watching Pirates of the Caribbean on a loop or Being Mary Jane on a loop on my smart television that was not being used for smart purposes, I walked into that DVD store one time upon returning old DVDs. I walked into that store and upon looking for something to watch, I meandered and told you how I got to the point of hiring this here DVD. It started out small, but I did not know what was involved in it though. I will give you that much. I did not know what was involved in it, and I did ask the guy at the DVD store, what's it like? And he was like, it's good. And he looked awkward, and he didn't tell me the truth about what's in there. And then I went and I took it home, and I think I watched maybe like 45 minutes of it, and I didn't finish it. I went to a DVD store, and I saw the, what do you call this thing? I saw the like presentation, what in the world do they call that thing? Why are words eluding me?